Elena always believed her life was too ordinary for danger. She woke early, worked late, paid bills, worried about her little sister's school fees, and tried to make sense of a world that often felt unfair. But the night everything changed, she realized how quickly the ordinary could shatter, how fast life could twist without warning. It started with the strange feeling that someone was behind her. Not close, not touching her, but watching, waiting. It wasn't the first time she felt it. For a week now, every time she turned down the last street before her apartment, she caught shadows shifting at the edge of her vision. She told herself she was overthinking. It was late, she was tired, and the neighborhood wasn't new to suspicious figures. But as she walked home after her night shift, holding her bag close, the air felt heavier than usual. The street was too quiet. Even the dogs that normally barked at nothing seemed to have vanished. She crossed the road, pretending to check her phone. Her fingers trembled. She told herself she wasn't scared. But the truth was, she didn't want to go home feeling this way again. She wanted to feel normal for once, to breathe without tension sitting on her chest. She took 3 more steps. A van door slid open beside her. A hand covered her mouth before she could scream. Her body was pulled backward into darkness. Her phone fell from her hand and slid across the road. The street swallowed the sound of her muffled cry. A voice whispered near her ear, low and cold. "Stop struggling. You'll only hurt yourself." She kicked, clawed, and tried to sink her teeth into the palm covering her lips, but the man was stronger. Another helped pin her down. They tied something over her eyes, and panic clawed up her throat so quickly she could barely breathe. She wasn't thinking about death yet. She was only thinking of her sister. Her sweet, stubborn little sister who relied on her for everything. If Elena disappeared, what would happen to her? The van moved. She counted turns the way her father used to teach her when she was younger, before life dragged them far away from safety. Right turn, long straight road, a stop, another right turn, then a long climb upward like they were going into the hills. She tried to listen for voices, but the men spoke in short phrases and languages she didn't understand. She tried to track time, but fear made every second uneven and hard to measure. When the van finally stopped, someone grabbed her arm and pulled her out. Her legs shook, she'd lost all sense of direction. They walked her through what sounded like a large, echoing space. Her shoes tapped against polished tiles. The air smelled cleaner than anything she was used to, expensive like whatever place she'd been taken to didn't get people like her often. A door clicked open. She was pushed inside, but gently, too gently for kidnappers. Then the blindfold was removed. The room wasn't a warehouse or a basement. It was a study. Dark wooden shelves, leather chairs, a desk that looked older than her entire apartment building. Warm lamps. A window covered by heavy blinds. The contrast confused her so much she didn't know whether to scream or stay silent. "Leave us," a deep voice said. The men behind her obeyed immediately, shutting the door behind them. Elena stood frozen. The man seated behind the desk looked nothing like what she imagined a kidnapper would. He looked like a man who spent most of his life giving orders and having them obeyed. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a simple black shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his arms. His stare was firm, almost uncomfortably steady. A scar on his jaw caught the lamplight. He didn't move. He didn't rush to speak. He simply watched her for a long moment, as though measuring every thought that crossed her mind. "Elena Hayes," he said, his voice smooth but carrying a weight she couldn't ignore. She tried to speak, but fear dried her mouth. "You're probably panicking," he continued, "but you're not in danger here." She blinked at him, confusion twisting in her chest. "You kidnapped me," she whispered. He didn't deny it. "I stopped someone else from kidnapping you." She stared harder, not understanding. "I don't know what that means." The man leaned back in his chair, fingers tapping lightly against the armrest. "Sit." "I'm not sitting anywhere," she snapped, even though her voice trembled. "You can't just." "You're safe here," he cut in calmly. "But the people who were coming for you won't hesitate to kill you." Her heart dropped. He nodded subtly as though confirming her fear. "I need you to listen carefully. I'm Dante Moretti." The name landed like a punch. She'd heard it before, on the news, whispered in markets, spoken with caution. A mafia name. One people feared. Her breath caught. Why would someone want me?" He opened a folder on his desk and slid a photo toward her. Her face stared back at her, circled in red marker. Elena felt the world tip sideways. No, she whispered. This can't be real. I intercepted this from a group far less merciful than mine, Dante said. They weren't planning to talk to you. They were planning to take you for leverage. Leverage against who? She demanded. I have nothing. I work and go home. I don't even know anyone important. He watched her carefully. Your father. She froze. My father died years ago, she said, voice cracking. And he wasn't who you thought he was. Her palms grew cold. Don't lie to me. My father worked in an accounting office. He wasn't involved with anyone like you. Dante slid another file toward her. Documents, old reports, numbers she didn't understand. Her father's photo was clipped at the top. He worked for my family years ago, Dante said quietly. He disappeared without finishing what he owed, and someone decided to make you pay for it. Elena felt sick. You're lying. I gain nothing from lying to you, Dante replied. If I wanted you dead, we wouldn't be talking. Her knees weakened and she grabbed the back of a chair. Why now? Why after all these years? Because someone found out who you are, Dante said. Someone who wants you for reasons I haven't uncovered yet. Her breath hitched. So you kidnapped me? I brought you here, he corrected. If they took you first, you wouldn't survive it. He stood slowly, walked around the desk and faced her. His presence felt too strong, too certain, too controlled. She backed up without meaning to. I'm giving you a choice, he said. Stay here under my protection, or walk out those doors and take your chances with the people hunting you. Her voice broke. That's not a choice. That's imprisonment. He didn't deny it. Some cages keep you alive. I want to leave, she whispered. His jaw tightened. You can't. Anger flared inside her, cutting through her fear. You don't get to decide that. I do, he said quietly but firmly. Because if I let you go, you'll be dead within a day. She hated that a part of her believed him. Hated that her father might have lied to her. Hated that her life had been pulled from her hands so easily. Dante motioned to the door. Two men appeared instantly. Take her to the east room, he instructed. Make sure she has everything she needs. Elena shook her head rapidly. Don't touch me. But before she could resist, the men guided her away. Dante didn't look satisfied, victorious, or cruel. He looked troubled. As she was led down the hallway, she heard someone else enter Dante's office. A short exchange of hushed voices followed. Then Dante's voice, sharper and colder than she'd heard so far. He ordered it himself. Victor. Pause. Then she's not here by accident, Dante said. And this just became a war. The door slammed shut. Elena's fear deepened. Whatever danger she was in, it was worse than she ever imagined. Elena barely slept the first night in Dante's mansion. The room they gave her was too quiet, too polished and unfamiliar. She lay awake replaying every word he said, hoping she misunderstood something. Hoping her father had never worked with people like this. Hoping Dante was wrong about everything. But deep down she knew the men who grabbed her in the street weren't amateurs. They didn't hesitate. They knew exactly who they wanted. They knew her name. They moved like they had a purpose. The next morning one of Dante's men brought breakfast. He wasn't rude, but he wasn't warm either. He placed the tray on the table, nodded once and left. Elena stared at the food untouched. She felt trapped, not just by the locked doors, but by the truth pressing in from every direction. She needed to get out. She needed to think clearly somewhere that didn't smell like money and danger. She pushed a chair to the window, climbed on it and tried to open the latch. Locked. He checked the vents. Too narrow. She checked behind the curtains. Nothing. Her chest tightened with frustration. She paced the room, staring at the door as though fear alone could unlock it. When the knob finally turned, she froze. Dante walked in. He didn't look like a man pleased with control. He looked like someone who hadn't slept either. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His jaw was tight as if he'd been dealing with bad news all night. You didn't eat, he said simply. I'm not hungry, she replied, keeping her distance. He didn't push further. He just nodded. The silence between them stretched until she couldn't stand it anymore. Why am I really here? She asked. I told you. No, she insisted, stepping closer. You told me what you wanted me to believe. That's different. She didn't expect him to look hurt, but he did. something quick and barely noticeable. "You think I enjoy forcing you to stay?" he asked quietly. "It doesn't matter what you enjoy," she snapped. "This isn't protection. This is kidnapping with extra steps." Dante rubbed a hand over his face. "Elena, you don't understand the kind of people after you. If you leave, I can't get you back from them. And they don't keep their captives alive." She crossed her arms. "Let me go." He stared at her for a long moment, then shook his head. "No." Her frustration bubbled until she nearly screamed. "You don't get to define my choices." His eyes locked onto hers. "If keeping you alive means you're angry at me, I can live with that." His words were too honest. Too steady. Too certain. She didn't know how to process them. Without another word, he motioned for her to follow him. Against her better judgment, she did. He led her to a different part of the mansion. This area was quieter, lined with old photos and heavy doors. He stopped in front of a room and opened it. It wasn't another bedroom. It was an office, but not like the grand study she'd first seen. This one was smaller, colder, messy. Papers stacked on the floor. A cracked picture frame on the desk. A broken chair in the corner. It looked like the ghost of a disaster. "This was my father's office," Dante said, "before Victor destroyed it." Elena hesitated. "Why show me this?" "Because you think I'm keeping you here for convenience. Or control." He gestured around the wrecked space. "But there are things you don't know about my family." She looked around carefully. Nothing about this room felt staged. It felt like pain, real pain he didn't share with other people. "My father tried to stop Victor from taking over the family," Dante continued. "Victor wanted to run things differently. He didn't care what lines he crossed." "Lines?" she repeated quietly. Dante's eyes darkened. "Trafficking. Forced labor. Things that have destroyed countless families." Elena shivered. "My father refused," he said. "So Victor made an example out of him." She swallowed hard. "So you've been fighting him ever since?" "Yes." He looked at her again. "And saving you put me directly in his path." "Why?" she whispered. "Why would he even want me?" Dante didn't answer right away. Instead, he went to the desk and picked up a small envelope. He hesitated, then offered it to her. She opened it slowly. Inside were financial documents. Numbers, codes, old signatures. But one thing stood out. Her father's handwriting. Her breath caught. "No, this can't be." "He laundered money for Victor before he died," Dante said softly. The paper trembled in her hands. "My father would never." "He did," Dante said. "Maybe he had reasons. Maybe he didn't. But Victor still blames your family for a loss he never forgot." Her chest tightened painfully. "Why didn't he come after us earlier?" "Because he couldn't find you," Dante replied. "Until now. And the moment he did, he put your name on his list." Elena sank into the nearest chair. She felt betrayed by a man who wasn't even alive to defend himself. She felt angry at Dante for knowing more about her father than she ever did. She felt terrified of Victor, who seemed to be a monster even Dante feared. Dante crouched in front of her. "Whatever your father did, it doesn't justify what Victor wants to do to you." She covered her face with her hands. "I don't know who to trust anymore." "You don't have to trust me," Dante said quietly. "Just let me keep you safe until I figure out why Victor wants you now." She slowly lowered her hands. Their eyes met. She saw something unexpected in his expression, genuine concern. And for a moment the mansion didn't feel as suffocating. But later that afternoon her fear turned into determination. She refused to be a prisoner. When one of Dante's guards brought her dinner and forgot to lock the door fully, just a small oversight, barely noticeable, Elena saw her chance. She waited until the footsteps faded, then slowly pushed the door. It opened. Her heart pounded. She slipped into the hallway. She moved fast, her socked feet silent on the floors. She took the stairs two at a time, ignoring the ache in her legs. She spotted the back entrance, slightly ajar as if someone had left it open intentionally. She didn't ask why. He sprinted. The night air hit her face, freezing but freeing. She didn't know where she was or how far the city was, but she didn't care. She just needed to get away from this world. Away from Dante, away from Victor, away from everything. She made it to the tree line. Her lungs burned. Her legs shook. But she kept going. Then she heard footsteps. Not running. Walking. Slow. Purposeful. Elena Hayes. Her blood went cold. A figure stepped out from behind the trees. She didn't recognize him at first, but the cold look in his eyes made her step back. Dante can't protect you anymore, the man said, voice like a quiet threat. He never could. She tried to run, but two others grabbed her from the sides. She struggled, but they were stronger. Victor is waiting, the man said. Her breath tore out of her. Oh no. They dragged her away. Her screams were muffled by a hand over her mouth. Back at the mansion, Dante found the gate open. His guard lay unconscious nearby. A note was pinned to the metal fence. You stole her first. Now let's see if you can steal her back. Dante's face hardened in a way Elena had never seen. This time he wasn't just protecting her. He was going to war. Elena woke to the sound of metal scraping the floor. It wasn't loud, but it jolted her fully awake. When her eyes adjusted, she realized she was in a small concrete room, dimly lit by a single bulb hanging from a wire. The air smelled damp, old, and unfamiliar. Her wrists were tied, but not painfully, just tight enough to stop her from moving freely. She tried to sit up, and a sharp ache shot through her shoulder. Her memory returned slowly. The woods, the men, the voice saying Victor was waiting. Panic tried to crawl up her throat, but she forced herself to breathe through it. She refused to fall apart here. She refused to give Victor the satisfaction. Footsteps approached, steady and slow. She braced herself. The door opened. A tall man walked in, dressed neatly, calm expression, dark eyes carrying the kind of emptiness that made her stomach twist. She recognized him from Dante's warnings, though she had never seen his face before today. He didn't look cruel at first glance. He looked controlled, polished, almost gentle in a way that made his presence more frightening. Elena Hayes, he said, his voice unervingly soft. I've been waiting a long time to meet you. Elena lifted her chin even though her hands trembled. I don't know what you want with me. Of course you do, he replied, walking closer. Your father took something from me years ago. Something valuable. And since he's not here to pay what he owes, his debt passes to you. I don't know anything about his past, she said firmly. He never. People hide truths when they don't want their children caught in their mistakes, Victor cut in gently. But life has a way of circling back. He crouched beside her, studying her face with clinical interest. You look like him, you know. Same eyes. She flinched. He straightened and clasped his hands behind his back. You're more useful to me alive, but you must understand, your cooperation is not optional. Her heart pounded painfully. You won't get anything from me. Victor smiled faintly. Bravery is admirable but rarely sustainable. Before he could say more, one of his men stepped into the doorway. Boss, we have a problem. Victor didn't look irritated, but he didn't look surprised either. Dante. The man nodded. He's here. A wave of relief crashed into Elena so strongly she nearly sagged. Dante came. Actually came. She didn't know what that meant. She didn't know if it was smart or stupid, but she knew he didn't leave her behind. Victor sighed softly. He always did enjoy making things difficult. He turned to Elena. You should understand something. Dante thinks he's saving you. But the moment he steps onto my territory, he risks everything. His life, his men, his family's stability. All for a woman he barely knows. Elena swallowed, throat tight. Then let me go and he won't have a reason to fight you. Victor tilted his head, amused. You misunderstand. You aren't the reason for the fight. You're simply the match that set it on fire. He walked toward the door but paused. If Dante survives the next hour, consider yourself fortunate. The door closed, leaving her heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear anything else. Her mind raced. She didn't know what Dante planned or if he had any plan at all. All she knew was that she didn't want anyone dying for her, least of all him. She struggled against the rope binding her wrists. It didn't loosen. Her breath quickened. She looked around the room, searching for anything sharp or useful. There was nothing. No broken edges, no screws, nothing loose. She pulled harder. The rope cut into her skin, but she kept pulling, gasping through the pain until her wrists burned. Finally, she managed to twist one hand just enough to slide 2 fingers free. She gritted her teeth, used the leverage, and tugged until the rope loosened completely. She didn't waste a second. She stood slowly, wincing at the stiffness in her legs, and crept to the door. It wasn't locked, because Victor didn't think she was a threat. She stepped into the hallway, heart pounding. Voices echoed from far off, some angry, some alarmed. A sound like something heavy hitting a wall shook the floor. She moved quietly toward the noise. He turned a corner and froze. A man lay unconscious on the floor. One of Victor's. Elena crouched, took his key card, and kept moving, praying she wasn't walking straight into danger. Another corner. Another hallway. And then, a sharp noise cut through the air, followed by a pained grunt she recognized immediately. Without thinking, she ran toward the sound. She stopped at the entrance to a wide room. The scene hit her like a blow. Dante was fighting two of Victor's men at once. He wasn't dressed like the cold, controlled man she first met. He looked human now, breathing hard, jaw clenched, eyes blazing. Sweat dampened his shirt. Blood streaked one side of his arm. But he wasn't stopping. She stepped forward instinctively. Dante. One of the men lunged at him with a knife. Dante blocked it, twisted the attacker's wrist, and threw him to the ground. But the second man swung a metal pipe at Dante's back. Elena shouted before she even realized what she was doing. "Behind you." Dante turned just in time. The pipe grazed his shoulder instead of hitting full force. He grabbed the attacker's arm, slammed him against the wall, and the man collapsed. The room fell silent except for Dante's rough breathing. He looked at her with a mix of shock and anger. "Elena, what are you doing out here?" She shook her head. "I wasn't going to wait for someone to save me." Dante stepped toward her, eyes scanning her for injuries. "Are you hurt?" "No," she whispered, "just scared." He was close enough now that she could see how shaken he really was. Not by the fight, but by seeing her there, free and vulnerable. He exhaled. "We don't have much time. Victor won't let us leave easily." "I saw him," she said quietly. "He said my father stole something from him." Dante's jaw tightened. "Victor lies to make people feel powerless. Whatever your father did, it wasn't what Victor is making it out to be." Elena swallowed. "You sound certain." "I am," Dante said. "Your father tried to run from this world. Victor doesn't forgive that." Before she could ask more, footsteps thundered down the hallway. Dante grabbed her hand. "Stay behind me." "No," she said, gripping his arm. "We leave together. No one dies for me." Something flickered in his eyes, something warm, unexpected, and deeply unsettling. They moved together, slipping through corridors Dante seemed to know well. But each turn brought more of Victor's men. Dante fought with relentless focus, guiding Elena every step, shielding her when he had to, pushing her forward when danger closed in. When they finally reached the exit, Elena felt hope crack open inside her. But Victor stood waiting. Composed. As if he had predicted every move. Dante pulled Elena behind him, body tensing. "This ends now, Victor." "It does," Victor agreed. "But not the way you think." Victor looked at Elena. "You may leave, Elena." "Alone." Her stomach twisted. "No." Dante's hand tightened around hers. Victor continued softly, "Walk away and I won't chase you. Stay and you'll share Dante's fate when I'm finished with him." Elena didn't hesitate. "I'm not leaving him." Victor sighed. "Attachment makes people foolish." He nodded toward his men. Lifted a brow. "So be it." But before anything else could happen, Dante triggered something on the small device in his hand. A deafening alarm blared through the compound. Victor's eyes widened, not in fear but irritation. "You brought the police?" "No," Dante said. "I brought the people who hate you just as much as I do." Voices shouted outside. Vehicles skidded to a stop. Doors slammed open. Victor's men panicked. Dante grabbed Elena's hand. "Run." They ran. They didn't look back. They didn't stop until they reached the tree line, where Dante's remaining men waited. Bloodied but alive. Elena collapsed to her knees, chest heaving. Dante knelt beside her, hands shaking now that the danger had passed. She looked at him, overwhelmed. "You came for me. You actually came." He cupped her face gently, his guard finally lowering. "I would have burned the world down if they'd hurt you." Her breath caught. He didn't kiss her. He didn't pull her into his arms. He just held her face like she was the first real thing he'd touched all day. And in that moment Elena realized the truth. Dante didn't just steal her freedom. He had become the one person willing to fight the world to give it back.